Since the dawn of humanity, the supernatural has fascinated and intrigued. Among the most intriguing accounts is the Star of Bethlehem. Was it an extraordinary astronomical conjunction or a supernatural light sent by God? Modern science attempts to decipher ancient mysteries, but with every answer, new questions arise. Could miracles merely be natural phenomena that we have yet to understand? Or could they be direct manifestations of divine power, using creation itself as an instrument? Prepare for a journey where science and faith intertwine in a mysterious way, never diminishing the sovereignty of the Creator. Since the dawn of existence, even before time was counted, there was only God, eternal, infinite, absolute. In an act of pure will, he uttered words that echoed into the void, and then, lights shimmered, seas emerged, stars ignited like torches in the vast fabric of the universe. Creation was neither an accident nor an experiment, but a conscious act of supreme intelligence. The laws that govern the cosmos today, gravity, thermodynamics, the incredible precision of planetary orbits, were written as a silent signature of his power. Every equation discovered by modern science is not a human creation, but rather an incomplete reading of the great language with which God formed all things. But if creation is so meticulously ordered, how could science, which deciphers this order, be separate from the divine? As we look to the vastness of the universe, we realize that nothing was left to chance. Every galaxy spinning in harmony, every atom vibrating with precision, reveals the mark of a creator who operates both in the majestic and the minuscule. Science, when it uncovers the mechanisms of the universe, merely walks along the paths that God has traced. The Big Bang, often interpreted as a random event, may, in fact, be seen as the distant echo of the words, "Let there be light," spoken with divine authority. Thus, science does not confront faith. On the contrary, it confirms it. It shows that the universe is so carefully structured that it could not be the work of chance. Yet, can we truly understand all the intention of the Creator through our limited formulas and theories? From the depths of the oceans to the boundaries of space, we find evidence of an impressive and mysterious order. The water cycle, photosynthesis, the delicate composition of the atmosphere, all obey mathematical and physical patterns so complex that they go beyond mere natural functioning. In studying these wonders, scientists are unknowingly exploring the tools that God used to shape the world. Every scientific discovery, rather than distancing man from God, should bring him closer, revealing the vastness of his creative mind. Yet, there is something that science, no matter how advanced, will never be able to measure: the intention behind creation. After all, could the finite ever fully uncover the infinite? The harmony of natural laws points to an intelligence that not only created the universe but continues to sustain it. If gravity were to cease for a moment, the galaxies would scatter into chaos. If Earth's rotation varied even slightly, life as we know it would be impossible. Everything was created with purpose, measure, and precision. This cosmic orchestra, where science and mathematics act as silent instruments, reveals not only the existence of God but also his continued action in the universe. Science may describe the how, but the why belongs exclusively to God. And will science ever be able to understand the reason why the Creator himself decided to mix order with mystery? Thus, since the origin of all things, science and creation walk together as silent witnesses to God's power. The laws that govern matter, energy, and time are not obstacles to miracles. They are, in fact, the threads with which the Creator weaves his invisible work. When we look to the skies, to the movement of the stars, and to the rhythms of earth, we do not just see natural phenomena, we see God's handwriting in every detail. And so, the mystery remains: will we ever truly understand how science, this gift of understanding, so faithfully reflects the face of the invisible? Since ancient times, the miracles narrated in the scriptures have amazed and challenged human understanding. Every supernatural event recorded in the Bible is not only a testimony of divine intervention but also an open door to mystery. Could some of these miracles have operated through the very natural laws that God created? And if, instead of suspending his own laws, God merely manipulated them with the mastery of the Creator who rules both the visible and the invisible? Take, for example, the famous crossing of the Red Sea. The Bible recounts that Moses, guided by God, stretched out his hand over the sea, and the waters divided, allowing the people of Israel to pass safely. Interestingly, scholars suggest that strong and rare winds, a phenomenon known as seiche or tidal retreat, could have displaced the waters in such a way as to temporarily expose the seabed. Was it a coincidence that such a specific phenomenon occurred precisely at the moment when Moses needed it? Or was it the hand of God, operating invisibly, using the very natural forces he himself established in creation? Another fascinating example is the Star of Bethlehem, which guided the Magi to the birthplace of Jesus. Some astronomers propose that the star could have been a rare conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn, or even an exceptionally bright supernova. These cosmic events are part of the natural order of the universe, but their occurrence at critical moments in sacred history suggests more than mere coincidence. Science can trace orbits and calculate dates, but it cannot explain the spiritual and profound reason why such phenomena appeared exactly when they heralded the fulfillment of prophecies. Could it be that behind every scientific explanation, there lies the invisible hand of the Creator, guiding history as a conductor guides his orchestra? The miracle of the multiplication of the loaves and fishes also generates speculation. Some scholars attempt to explain the event by suggesting that Jesus inspired a hidden communal sharing among the crowd. But this interpretation, even though it seeks to rationalize the occurrence, does not diminish the essence of the miracle, feeding thousands of people from limited resources, moving hearts toward generosity and abundance. Here, more than manipulating matter, God seems to have operated in the dimension of the human spirit, within the deeper laws of love and solidarity. And who can deny that touching the human heart is, in itself, an even greater miracle? Thus, we see that many biblical miracles may have explanations within the possibilities of the natural world. But these explanations do not reduce the miracle, on the contrary, they amplify it. They show that God does not need to violate his own laws to manifest his power. The Creator acts with absolute perfection, operating both within and beyond what we understand as nature. And if every apparent coincidence in the Bible were, in fact, a carefully planned sign, impossible to reproduce without divine intervention? Therefore, the miracles of the Scriptures do not become less wonderful because they may have possible scientific interpretations. Every detail of creation is at the disposal of the Creator, who can use winds, stars, seas, and human hearts to manifest his plan. Science may sometimes describe the how, but it will never reach the why of the miracle. And thus, the question persists in the heart of every sincere seeker: where does natural explanation end and the supernatural touch of God begin? As we contemplate the universe, we are confronted with an astonishing reality: there is order. The stars follow precise orbits, the oceans obey strict cycles, and the seasons succeed one another with unwavering punctuality. This harmony is not a product of chance, but a visible signature of divine wisdom. Science, which seeks to decipher the gears of the cosmos, is not a threat to faith, it is, in fact, a window through which we can admire the grandeur of God manifested in the very natural laws. From the equations that govern gravity to the intricate atomic interactions, everything follows fixed principles, so constant that we can build entire civilizations based on them. And if these laws are so reliable, it is because they were established by a perfect legislator. Creation is not an abandoned clock left to its own fate, but a continuous poem in which every scientific formula reveals a verse of divine wisdom. Just as a painting reveals the talent of the artist, the order of the universe reveals the mind of God. It is fascinating to realize that what we call the laws of nature are not mere human observations, they are, rather, expressions of the care and intention of a Creator who loves beauty, symmetry, and logic. The Bible already declared millennia ago that, "the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shows his handiwork," Psalm 19 verse 1. Long before telescopes and laboratories, humanity already sensed that there was something divine in the regularity of the stars, in the renewal of life, in the delicate engineering of the human body. Modern science merely puts words and numbers to what faith has always recognized, a universe that speaks of God. At the same time, science reveals the incredible delicacy of the adjustments that make life possible. The exact distance of the Earth from the Sun, the chemical composition of the atmosphere, the gravity calibrated with precision, any minimal deviation in these factors would make life impossible. Many scientists call this the anthropic principle. But for those who see beyond the calculations, it is impossible to ignore: we are not here by accident. We are the result of an intentional design, sustained by natural laws that, in their perfection, reflect the perfection of the one who created them. This perspective transforms science from a mere quest for answers into a journey of worship. Every scientific discovery should be accompanied by reverence, for in understanding how the universe works, we are, in the final analysis, discovering more about the character of its author. Every molecule, every star, every heartbeat is a living proof that God is present, governing not only the supernatural but also the natural. What is more extraordinary, God performs spectacular miracles when necessary, but most of the time, His daily miracle is maintaining creation with such perfection that we forget to call it a miracle. Thus, science, far from diminishing divine majesty, exalts it. And every step we take to understand the universe is, paradoxically, a step toward recognizing that we will never fully comprehend the one who created it. The visible points to the invisible, the measurable points to the unfathomable. And so, each natural law is a whisper of the eternal, a clue to the infinite, a silent proof that God reigns sovereign over all that is, both visible and invisible. When it comes to miracles, the modern mind quickly seeks explanations. Did the sea really part for Moses, or was it a rare natural phenomenon? Did the wall of Jericho fall by divine intervention, or was there an earthquake? Questions like these, far from weakening faith, can lead us to a deeper understanding of how God operates in the world, often using the very nature He created, shaping events at exact moments to reveal His power. Take, for example, the miracle of the parting of the Red Sea. The Bible describes how God, through Moses, separated the waters, allowing the Israelites to cross safely. Scientists suggest that strong and specific winds, under certain geographical conditions, could temporarily move the waters of a shallow area, creating a passage. But notice, even though science may suggest a mechanism, it cannot explain the divine timing. What is the likelihood of such a rare natural phenomenon occurring exactly when God's people needed to escape, and then immediately receding to destroy their pursuers? The phenomenon may be natural, but the author of the scene is clearly God. This perspective leads us to a powerful reflection: the true essence of a miracle does not lie in it violating the laws of nature, but in God orchestrating circumstances so precisely that His intervention becomes undeniable. A miracle is the action of God, whether using supernatural or natural means. The sea parting, the wall falling, fire descending from heaven upon Elijah's altar, in each case, God is demonstrating His absolute dominion over both the laws He created and over time and space. It is important to understand that trying to find scientific explanations for miracles should not lead us to reduce God's action to mere coincidences. On the contrary, this should expand our vision of divine greatness. After all, what kind of God would He be if He only intervened by breaking the rules? Much more impressive is the God who established perfect laws and, when He wishes, uses them in favor of His people without ever losing control. Another powerful example is the Star of Bethlehem. Modern astronomers suggest that it could have been a rare conjunction of planets, such as Jupiter and Saturn, shining brightly in the sky. But what makes this event miraculous is not just the astronomical phenomenon itself, but its meaning and its timing. A celestial conjunction occurring precisely to announce the birth of the Savior, guiding wise men from distant lands, fulfills millennia-old prophecies. Science can map the movement of the planets, but it cannot plan their prophetic meanings. Thus, as we explore possible natural explanations for biblical miracles, we are not attempting to remove God from the equation, we are, in fact, admiring even more the magnificent way He governs the world. The laws of physics, chemistry, and astronomy do not limit God, they are the tools He Himself forged to sustain creation and, when He wishes, to perform wonders. The inevitable conclusion is this: even if science points to possible mechanisms for extraordinary events, the invisible hand of God remains the driving force behind every miracle. The mystery remains. Faith is strengthened. And the certainty grows, the Creator not only began the universe, but continues to be actively involved in it, revealing His glory in every detail, whether natural or supernatural. The New Testament is a true compendium of miracles that not only marked history but continue to resonate in the hearts of all those who seek to understand the relationship between the divine and the natural. The miraculous actions of Jesus of Nazareth are narratives that, at times, challenge human understanding and provoke profound questions. Is it possible to reconcile biblical miracles with modern scientific discoveries? The answer is less about excluding one perspective or the other, and more about realizing that science and faith can walk side by side, together recognizing the greatness of the Creator. The first miracle of Jesus in Cana, where He turned water into wine during a wedding feast, exemplifies this harmonious tension between the natural and the supernatural. We know, through science, that wine is produced by complex natural processes, involving the fermentation of grape sugars by yeasts in a specific environment, over weeks or months. However, in the face of an immediate need, Jesus, who masters time and matter, performed in an instant what would normally take months in the natural course. Science knows the way of transformation, but it does not have the power to accelerate or command the times. That is an exclusive attribute of God. Here, science serves to further magnify the miracle, for as we understand the complexity of the natural process, we recognize even more the power of the divine act. The healings performed by Jesus are another fertile ground for this dialogue between faith and science. Healing a blind man, a leper, or a paralytic instantly, without surgeries, medications, or rehabilitation processes, is something that surpasses the reach of modern medicine, even in its most advanced stages. Contemporary science recognizes the complexity of the nervous, immune, and regenerative systems of the human body. Jesus, however, by touching or simply commanding healing, demonstrated absolute mastery over these intricate structures. Each healing, therefore, was not an irrational suspension of natural laws but a sovereign manifestation over them, like an artist altering his own work, without destroying its beauty or internal rules. The episode of the multiplication of loaves and fishes before a hungry crowd also invites reflection. Could it be psychological effects? A collective sharing? Naturalistic theories attempt to explain, but none address the question of the real and physical creation of food from insufficient quantities. Science knows that matter does not multiply out of nothing, and that the law of conservation of mass is inviolate. However, the one who created matter at the beginning of time is not subject to its limitations. Jesus demonstrated that, although natural laws exist, they are at the service of His sovereign will. The resurrection of Lazarus, perhaps one of the most impactful miracles of the New Testament, directly confronts our biological understanding. After 4 days, the natural processes of decomposition would already be underway, tissues would have started to degrade irreversibly. Medical science recognizes that death is the final point of physiological processes, and that the reversal of this state is impossible under natural conditions. Yet, at the simple command of Jesus, Lazarus, come forth. Life was restored. There was no medical technique, no human intervention. It was an act of absolute power over life and death itself, proving that the author of life is not bound by the rules governing His creatures. Thus, the entire New Testament presents us with a clear picture: faith and science are not enemies. Science seeks to understand the workings of creation, faith recognizes who the Creator is. True science does not diminish God, but reveals His magnificence. Each scientific discovery, far from diminishing faith, can be seen as a deeper glimpse into divine wisdom. When we understand natural laws, we better comprehend the greatness of the God who created them. The harmony between science and faith lies in recognizing their distinct but complementary spheres. Science explores the how of things, how stars are formed, how bodies heal, how food multiplies in nature. Faith, in turn, contemplates the who and the why, who gave rise to everything and why each element of creation exists. To deny science is to close one's eyes to the complexity of creation. To deny faith is to miss the opportunity to see beyond the visible, to perceive the eternal purpose behind everything. Thus, each miracle in the New Testament calls us to embrace this harmony, that of a mind that marvels at the discoveries of science and a heart that surrenders to the mystery of faith. For in the end, every true quest for knowledge, whether through telescopes pointed to the sky, or microscopes focused on cells, will ultimately lead humanity to recognize the invisible, yet unmistakable, signature of the Creator of all things. Human history is marked by the tireless search for knowledge. From the early Greek philosophers to the modern scientists who unravel the mysteries of DNA and distant galaxies, there is an intrinsic desire to understand the universe and its origins. Science, with its laws, theories, and experiments, is the fruit of this desire and represents one of the greatest expressions of human capacity. However, as much as we advance, there is one reality that remains untouched: our limitation before the infinite. No equation, no telescope, no particle accelerator will be able to capture the totality of God. Science operates within the limits of creation. It investigates what can be observed, measured, and tested. Through it, we uncover the composition of stars, understand the chemical processes of life, and even create technologies that transform the world. However, science is like a powerful lantern in the middle of an infinite forest. It illuminates part of the path, but it does not reveal the entire vastness. It can often explain the how, but inevitably stumbles when it comes to the why, and, above all, the who. God is not restricted to natural laws, for He is the one who instituted them at the beginning of time. The laws of physics, biology, chemistry, all reflect a majestic order, but they are mere shadows of the infinite mind that created them. When we attempt to understand God only through scientific instruments, it is like trying to measure the ocean with a spoon. The Creator cannot fit into human experiments, nor can He be encapsulated in theories. His essence transcends matter, space, and time, dimensions in which science is confined. Even the greatest scientists in history, in their moments of utmost humility, recognized this truth. Isaac Newton, after formulating the laws of motion and gravity, declared that he saw himself as a child playing on the beach while the great ocean of truth remained unexplored before him. Albert Einstein, upon unveiling the theory of relativity, did not hesitate to affirm that the most incomprehensible thing about the world is that it is comprehensible, suggesting the existence of an organizing superior mind. Science can reveal the complexity of creation, but only faith leads us to the Creator. Moreover, God's miracles, those events that transcend natural laws, are continuous reminders of our limitation. When science cannot explain an instant healing, a sudden transformation, or an inexplicable intervention, we are invited to look beyond the method and recognize the author. God is not a God of the gaps, used only to explain what we do not yet understand. On the contrary, He is the foundation of everything that exists, both of what we know and what we will never fully be able to comprehend. The attempt to reduce God to a formula or phenomenon is, in the end, a mistake of perspective. Science is a gift, a valuable tool that allows us to admire divine works. But it is a tool created to work within the natural world, not to transcend the supernatural. Faith is what connects us to that dimension beyond reason. Faith recognizes that there are greater truths than those that can be seen under a microscope or measured in a laboratory. Therefore, we must walk with respect for science, but with reverence for God. We should use knowledge to glorify the One who gave us the capacity to think, question, and discover, but never allow the pride of knowledge to blind us to the reality that we are finite creatures trying to understand the infinite. Each new scientific discovery should be received with humility, as a distant echo of the voice that, in the beginning, said, "Let there be light." Ultimately, true wisdom lies in recognizing that science has its place, noble, necessary, and beautiful, but also its limits. And above these limits, there hovers the divine, eternal, and unchanging mystery, which even eternity of study will never exhaust. God remains beyond the reach of human lenses, not because He is obscure, but because His light is so intense that our eyes, even the brightest in science, still cannot bear it. Science can illuminate many mysteries, but it will never completely unveil the author of creation. Between formulas and miracles, God remains beyond human reason, sovereign and unfathomable. May each discovery lead us, not to arrogance, but to awe before the infinite that we will never be able to measure.